Kinnock.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'd like to start by thanking my honourable friend, the member for Lancaster and Fleetwood, for her vitally important work in persuading the government to U-turn on the vital issue of how many MPs there should be. It's absolutely right that we should remain at 650. Reducing to 600 would have both reduced the ability of MPs to properly fight the cause of our constituents, particularly at a time when Brexit will increase the amount of legislative work that we do in this place. It would have created a significant and unfair advantage for the Conservative Party, given the way that the new borders would probably have fallen, and it would have driven a coach and horses through the geographical logic of dozens of constituencies. So I am very proud of my party and my front bench for securing that vitally important U-turn. But nevertheless, I do have a number of very serious concerns about the legislation, and that's why I'll be voting for the reasoned amendment in the name of the Leader of the Opposition. Firstly, I have grave reservations about the proposal that the variance be limited to 5% higher or 5% lower than the average constituency size of 72,600. This gives the boundary commissions a ridiculously small amount of leeway, which will inevitably lead to some ludicrous consequences. The unnecessarily narrow margin will split long-established communities from one another, erode local identities, and divide neighbourhoods. Many of our constituencies are built on these strong local bonds. If they weren't, we might as well name every constituency 1 to 650 and be done with it.
Yes.
My own constituency of Aberavon is a case in point. The valley's villages are linked to town hubs locally by transport routes. For instance, the Avon Valley connects directly to Port Talbot, while Neath Valley links with Neath Town Centre. A boundary change would split either of those pairings, with the geography of the area meaning that a constituent could have to travel miles to see their MP and not knowing which of the two local MPs to contact about a particular issue. This kind of painting by numbers approach to the boundary review would erode trust in our democratic processes. Polling shows that trust in politicians and politics is worryingly low. So breaking our historic communities up along artificial lines would be utterly self-defeating. I would therefore urge the government to increase the electoral quota tolerance from plus minus 5% to either 7.5 or 10%. I think this is an issue that needs to be hammered out in committee. I'd like to see detailed proposals on that, but plus minus 5% is clearly too low. Reducing the number... My second concern is around parliamentary oversight. If we want to protect our democracy, why is the government not allowing the Boundary Commission's changes to be brought back to Parliament to scrutinise? This is nothing short of a constitutional outrage. But it should come as no surprise, Madam Deputy Speaker. We've seen the way the Prime Minister likes to play fast and loose with democratic principles. We saw his proroguing of Parliament last year, not once but twice. The first of which was deemed to be illegal, and the second during which he misled not only Parliament but the Queen. And we also saw his reluctance to allow scientific advisers to answer perfectly legitimate questions at the 5 p.m. press conference last Tuesday. Now, there is the potential for gerrymandering. The process is too opaque, and there are concerns and scepticism about the possibility of pressure being applied by the government on the boundary commissions. If the government has confidence in this process, why are they not allowing Parliament to scrutinise the final proposals? The final point I'd like to make is about which electoral register will be used to reshape the constituencies. The government says that they will use the register as it stands from the 1st of December 2020 this year, but there is a danger that with the pandemic and the recovery absorbing so much focus that people may drop off, particularly students, and the lists may not be accurate representation of numbers. So it would make far more sense, as the Honourable Member for Lancaster and Fleetwood has been making clear, to use the electoral register from the 2019 general election to have more accurate data. Madam Deputy Speaker, I hope the government will heed the concerns of myself and others. We cannot allow arbitrary lines to divide our communities. We must complete this process in a truly democratic manner by debating the final changes in both houses as is customary, and we must use the most accurate data available. Thank you.